start. No cam, crankshaft coloration. Welcome back to another episode, part 3 of assembling the Ford EcoBoost engine. Today we finally have all the parts together. We're going to get that puzzle back together and we're going to get that engine running today. So hope you're enjoying the video. So what you need here, once you get the cylinder head delivered, and now they did confirm that the engine was never overheated, was no warpage, and they're being vacuum tested, was no vacuum leaks. We'll go on 0.5, 0.5, and then check again. Absolutely nothing. And yeah, this engine has been sitting here for about 10 days. Believe it or not, that was all clean. The whole deck was clean, but the moisture in the air started creating a layer of rust again. To clean this up, get that cylinder head on that cylinder block, and then we're gonna torque to spec all the bolts. I'm gonna go step by step we use to show you how the way I do it. This is the thing number 2. You do need to write. I mean, you can keep it out of your head, but I just write it for the content. So you do have a first stage, and the first stage will be by the hand 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you follow the numbers. This is the numbers you need to follow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is on the right position, not upside down. It is quite similar, right? Yeah, sorry for the rain. It's raining very bad outside. But just worth to mention, to torque in that cylinder head, you need to take everything apart here, which is camshafts, all the bearings, everything needs to come apart. Now, you need to follow the way they were to put them back. So when you take them off, put them in inline, one row, let's say intake, and then up exhaust, or the other way around, and put them back that way as well after you assemble the cylinder head on the cylinder block. So this is how I do. Make sure to follow every single one of them to align with the size where they're going. You do have a numbers of them, 4, 3, 2, 1, but remember, sometimes you could mix it up, and I just don't trust these numbers. I rather put them in the order the way I put them out. Oh yeah, and I would recommend, if your cylinder head comes with no intake manifold on it, I would recommend to change these gaskets and just install the intake manifold on the cylinder head before you actually put that cylinder head on the engine block. Once you pull everything from the old cylinder head back on the new replacement cylinder head, you are ready to go after and apply that cylinder head back on the cylinder block. Now I will mention that, and I will mention a few other times after, your car will not turn on if you don't put that ground connection of the ignition coils on the cylinder head. There is around the back the bolt. You need to bolt that thing in. If you don't bolt that thing in, you will get stuck and it will take you ages to find out. Don't ask me how I know that. Cylinder head can go back on the engine. Make sure you don't clamp any wires, any hoses around on any other regular stuff here, right? So that's a line. You can actually hear it once he's aligned and in. Okay, check everything around. Everything seems fine. There's no clamping. I heard and I see more different bolts for this cylinder head, but it's only one type I do prefer, and it's Victor Reigns. They come pre-lubricated already, so you don't need to lubricate them. Just make sure all the holes on the engine block are clean. Like, I'm just gonna put them in line here. Okay. Before we torque them. That's it. We're gonna use the size 10 spline tool, and we're gonna hand tighten them first. You can do it this way and you just follow the numbers. Right, number 1 is on cylinder 2. So, hand tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Second stage would be a 40 Newton meters. We're gonna adjust our Newton meter on 40 Newton meters. Okay, we're ready. Let's apply some force on it. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's okay, that's a good enough angle. First stage, 40 Newton meters, number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. I'll get that angle so just so you can see the way I'm holding up the grip on the torque wrench. Number 6. Always apply the force on the corners as well. So you see, I'm not applying too much force. Oh, 6. Okay, 7. Okay. And then number 8. Now I will use my phone. You can get the apps with the degrees. The third stage is 45 degree loose. So we're gonna lose all them bolts around again, body order to 45 degrees. Fourth stage, it's 30 Newton meters. I know. It's just like, it's very frustrating how many times you need to go back and forward with this car. But here's the way it is. Right, let's see, 30 Newton meters. Order again. Cylinder 2, bolt number 1. Okay. Just to torque them back into the spec where they were. That means we did it properly, the 40 to 5 degree to lose, because they're just going a little bit over what we tightened them before. Yeah, you see, not even a half of the turn and they go back on 30 Newton meters. Okay. That's a good sign. Okay. Okay. Last two stages are 90 degree, you go all over, and then you 90 degree again all over. So here I'm gonna need to use a bigger multiplier. I need to use a torque wrench, or not a torque wrench, what's it called? A breaker bar with a degree applied on it, and we'll be back after that. We use here again. So we're just done with the torque into spec, the head bolts. What I do on this stage is take this paper and throw it away, because God helps you, you're not gonna need them anymore. Put all your tools back in the toolbox, because you're not gonna need them from now on to finish assembling this engine. So what's next? Next, we're gonna put the camshafts back on. The longer one on this particular engine goes here. Yeah, I know. People probably going crazy now in the comment section, or the watching people. You do need to put assembly oil here, but I'm not putting it in because it's fine. We're gonna put the oil over after, so it's fine. Hate me, but I'm doing it, and yous are watching. Okay. Question: which way would I do the timing here? I'm just gonna show you this right now. Yeah, it's a lot of controversy about how to do the timing here. I don't use the timings on these particular engines because you don't really need them. There's a QR codes here on both cams. Grab yourself an Allen key. If you never set the timing on the bottom end, on the crankshaft, put anything long enough to go in, spin the crank until you find that first piston going being on the dead top end. And then I'm gonna follow you through how to lock the pin on the bottom end of that TDC. Now you're safe to put back the camshaft. Both are all back in. Just put them screws back in by the hand. Don't take a risk and just ruin the threads. before you're putting everything back together, because you're just gonna add yourself extra job here, and we don't want that. Okay. Okay. Now, just bolt them back in. Okay. Don't go too hard, because they need to be torqued to spec as well. Make sure that the travel is nice and smooth. You should be able to turn them around with the hand after you torque everything together, and follow the torque specs online. To turn this cam by the hand, like very easy. I mean, you will feel a bit of a resistance, but you should be able to turn it around by the hand. Okay, don't judge me. I said in the previous video we will clean the bottom end for the oil sump. I never did it. I was just too busy with the other cars, and we're gonna get on it today, because we will need to assemble that car back together. But we will go to the bottom end now and put the locking pin in to lock the crankshaft. Don't know what's going on with me today. I'm just in a rush and I need to slow down. Okay, let's get on it. Okay, we are just at the bottom end now, and you can see that bolt here. That's the one. It's actually we're gonna use for locking the crankshaft, so it doesn't move once we torque and everything together. Oh yeah, I did lose that bolt before. You can actually see the piston through the injector hole, and once you 100% confirm with some screwdriver or whatever going up and down, once you find a dead edge center, and you take that little bolt off, which is this here, and the cylinder head bolts, the old one, actually go in that locking pin screw. The thread is exactly the same, exactly the same. So once you have that locked right in the position where it's the locking pin needs to go in, and you don't have money to buy the set to lock it, and it's in TDC, what you do is, this is where the crankshaft actually meets that screw. Okay, engine was on TDC, and I screwed that bolt all the way in until I got a contact. Now you will be able to move the crank, see? But the engine will go back in TDC, because you will be able to spin that engine on the bottom end of the crank, because there's no locking pin here. Yeah, Ford made a great job here, I have to say. So you will be able to turn it around, and that needs to be locked in, and then you need to lock in one more. I will show you a particular bolt I use here to lock the flywheel so it doesn't move, because we will torque this on very high Newton meters, and you get what's it called, a friction washer here as well. You put that friction washer in and it torque everything back to spec, because that's actually holds up everything on the bolt. That's how the Ford actually engineered this, which is like, why? But they still did it. They don't care. They're still making a good money on that, so whatever. But this is one of the cheat codes here. You are able to do it. You just need to know what you're doing. And I know people will go crazy watching this video, but I did tons of these 1 liter EcoBoost and they still drive, so it does work. Oh yeah, you need to clean up that rust. That rust is so bad. Listen, that thing is not gonna affect the car at all, and it will get washed off with the fresh, brand new oil. What we will do now is we're just gonna take this belt tensioner off. Okay, take it off and grab yourself a new timing set kit. And I don't go anywhere around any other kits than Dayco. Dayco is the best timing belt you can get for these Fords, and it's just over here. Grab yourself a Dayco kit. Don't go anywhere around any other kits. And this is what you get in the timing belt kit. You will get a timing belt pump if you want the pump, but I'm just not bothered because pump has just been recently replaced. In that kit, I got a new belt tensioner, new bolt for the belt tensioner. Let me grab that. And then you get a timing belt, okay? But you don't get the belt for oil pump. You need to get a separate kit. Yeah, I know. And you can get a Gates. That's the Gates kit for the oil pump. They don't fail as much. They fail more often than them. And then this is from the separate kit. You need to get that friction washer. You must get that friction washer once you do a first timing belt service on these cars. Okay, so what you do is take that power grip Gates kit for the oil pump and put that one first. I usually just, it's just everything is on the way now, but I just go bottom or top to bottom. It's not hard to apply it, to fit it in. You can just spin it and it will fit it in. There you go. It's in. Okay. Now, we're on the timing belt now. This was pretty easy, wasn't it? Just make sure that the kit is fitting perfect. There's a little locking pin here as well for that belt tensioner. You fit that way in. You grab yourself that bolt, find a hole, and just bolt it in. Now just bolt that in. I go with my feeling. I don't rely on the spec for this. This is very small bolt, doesn't take much of a torque. Next stage is a timing belt. It's that easy. Okay. If you think it's a few mils off, and because you don't have a timing lock here. Okay. Now that seems like it's in timing 100% now. Okay. We have some tension here. We have tension there. That's loose. That's gonna get tight now once we pull that pin on. And then you just grab that pin here. And you just pull it. There you go. And just to confirm, we're gonna go all over again to check the timing before we close that cover. The timing cover is on. Now I will show you something, and it took me few damn engines to actually achieve a perfect bean for the RTV. This is almost as the factory. Now you could judge mine, but this is how much silicone actually needs to pop out once you torque this back to car the way it's supposed to be. You can even see further down the line the way it is. The beating needs to be absolutely perfect on these cars. And this is the gasket maker I do use. Sticky stuff, you don't need to take it too much, it will seal. Now remember to not use it too much, and that's the way it's supposed to look like. So the cover is back on, and yeah, just a quick one. When you're taking the cover off, it will be a different bolts along the line when you're taking it off. I do use a cardboard, and I just stick it back on the way it is. Back in order, back the way it is on the cardboard, goes back on the cover. So this, you can be as experienced as you want. If you do hundreds of them a day, okay, you will probably do it better than me. But if you don't do it that often, just make sure you do this, because this car was sitting here in about 10 days before we went back on it and start assembling the engine. So just a quick note for you, if you assemble, use the cardboard. I do sometimes put the engine mount back on after I do the big bolts, and then the engine is sitting on the chassis, or else sometimes I do it last so I can do everything else around, like water pump, alternator, pulleys. I don't know, it's up to you, but I do find it easier to torque it down if I put it back on the chassis. To lock the crankshaft pulley, you do have a hole, and there's a crankshaft pulley. There's a crankshaft pulley hole over here as well. You can see it here. And this is the crank sensor. If that's not aligned, your car will not turn on. Take the exhaust valve, I do use it from the old cylinder heads from Force because they fit in perfectly. And then we align that in right through the hole. And then we're gonna lock the, what she called, sorry, my words are just lost. I'm just thinking about 100 other things. We're gonna lock the timing on that. The timing on the bottom is locked as well. We're gonna lock on the flywheel so it doesn't move because it's very easy to snap that. This is just to do a perfect timing to send a perfect signal back to the ECU. Oh yeah, and you do need the friction washer, which goes behind that pulley on the crank. It's called friction washer, and this is the part number here as well. I'm trying to find the perfect angle for it, but it's very hard when you have no room. So we're gonna grab this friction washer, pulley, locking tool, or else we call it a valve because it is a valve. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna put the friction washer in, make sure it's no dirt in between. Okay, that's in. Then take the pulley, try to find, before you put her up, where a lining hole is. I usually just do this. I push her all the way at the end, push her to the lock. See, fits absolutely perfect. I would give some credit to Ford because they were thinking about this. You know, it's almost like you're rebuilding the Detroit engine. Now, get that tool in, just so it doesn't move or switches over. Only 40 millimeters. Okay. Now we're just gonna check the TDC there as well. I could actually feel it with the finger if you're still getting the contact with it. And on this part over here, we're gonna put a bolt as well so it doesn't spin the crank where we tighten this up and the crank will go towards this way. And then we go after that, we're gonna take all the locking pins off and sample the whole engine back together. This is the bolt we're gonna use, and you put it right in here. Let's just check one more time. We have a contact here, which means we're still on TDC. We lock here with that little bolt, which is not gonna move, trust me. And then we're gonna go at the top, and then check the time in here. Okay. QR code aligned. This is the QR code you need to align with. We're gonna tie this up now, and this is the stages we're gonna go through. I wouldn't really be able to record it because yeah, this is hard. This is not by the Ford spec, but it did work, and I did several cars like this. One of them I drove it myself for hundreds of miles, and it still drives. Crank bolt without multiplier. It's stage 1 is 25. I just did 40, but then we need to do another 70. Stage 3 is 200 millimeters, and then stage 4 180. So now that was hard enough. So was second last stage was 200 millimeters, and the last stage is 180 degrees. That's how I do it with no torque multiplier. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna spin that engine few revolutions. We're gonna spin that engine, and we're gonna check the TDC again. And you want to be quiet, and you want to hear the engine spinning. So you will hear if any contact happens. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. Let's see TDC. Top dead and center. Belt is fine. Timing is fine. Which means we got good news for now so far. We're gonna finish assembling this engine. It will take about a few hours. I always make sure everything is fine. So on the first crank, the car actually runs. So let's get on it. Before we start assembling the top end, you do need to make sure that the oil sump is pristine, clean, no debris, no metal, no plastics or no rubber from the old belt. Make sure you clean that, put the new RTV, you don't need to put it too much, and then you'll be fine. I am so sorry, but I had to speed the things up, and I'm about 80% to almost finish the engine. Just finishing the wiring, then I'm gonna do the turbocharger. There's a few other little things. It's a lot of piping here going on. We need to put the belt back on, the serpentine belt, put the spark plugs back in, injectors, few little things, and then we'll see if it's running. We have the turbocharger on now. Now I will note the return line. Before you put the alternator, put the return line on the engine block from the turbo feed to return line. Make sure you connect that before you put the alternator. Otherwise, it'll be very uncomfortable experience. We are almost there. We just need to get the spark plugs in, injectors, and intake manifold and the exhaust manifold. But for testing purposes, we will turn the car on for a few seconds the way it is. We just checked the oil because the engine was spinning, and I think we're ready for startup. Hard start. No cam, crankshaft correlation. Hear that? What I find out is, I wasn't really sure, but this pin and this one here, that one actually goes to the pump. And this one here goes to the vacuum pump. Okay? No matter how many times you do the cars, you do some stupid mistakes. You actually do. Let's see you now. Simple as that. I mean, the catalytic converter is connected, it's just the downpipe is not connected, but the engine is running perfect. I mean, look at this here. I mean, I do go through the job like very fast, and this is what you deal with at the end. Just loads of parts, lots of bolts and nuts everywhere. This car was actually missing fuel manifold bolts, was stripped before I purchased the car. But now it's running perfect. We just need to connect the manifold completely, and then we're just gonna let it idle to recirculate that water and monitor the car. The engine is finally running. Yeah, we never had any problems with timing, but we did have some issue with coolant. The bypass pipe for the turbo was leaking. It was just very hard and brittle and was cracking, so we did that, and we had that problem with the sensors, but the engine is running perfectly fine now. Perfect. I mean, we had some issues with it. This is the cylinder head from that engine. I mean, you can still use a few parts of that cylinder head and rebuild another one. I will do a follow-up video on that, because I have another cylinder head and he's in a good order, but he needs valve lapping, so we will do that. Running fine. So I'm very happy with it. Been on the test drive, and I just parked it back up. She's running absolutely fine. She is. Like and follow will do a great help, because I need better gear for the cars and I need better gear to take footage, because my phone is just not the best footage ever. So if you do like the videos, please support. You will do a big favor to me, because I will follow up with the better videos. Cheers.